Hey everybody, this is Keith. Welcome back. This is part two of the Black Blockchain. We're just discussing a little bit of Bitcoin around here. We ended part one with the question: who actually owns the infrastructure? Where do the nodes live? And what does Amazon Web Services, the CIA's cloud contractor, have to do with the blockchain that was supposed to set you free? You need to understand why that question matters right now. Because mainstream media is out here pushing a documentary about two dead men and calling it a conclusion. And while people are debating whether Hal Finney wrote the code or Lynn Sassman wrote the white paper, nobody is asking who owns the pipes the whole thing runs through. That's by design. Let's get structural. The entire value proposition of Bitcoin, the reason millions of people trust it, hold it, evangelize it to their friends and family, is decentralization. No single point of control. No government switch to flip. No institution that can shut it down. That's the story they sold you. Here's what they didn't tell you. A blockchain node is a computer that holds a full copy of the Bitcoin ledger and participates in validating transactions. The more nodes there are, the more spread out they are geographically, the more genuinely decentralized the network becomes. That's the theory. So where are the nodes actually living? The overwhelming majority of reachable Bitcoin nodes are concentrated in three countries: the United States, Germany, and France. The United States alone accounts for roughly a third of all active nodes on the entire network. Let that land. A system designed to belong to everyone, built as a direct response to the 2008 financial collapse, positioned as the people's alternative to institutional control, and a third of its backbone sits inside the country with the most sophisticated signals intelligence apparatus ever built. The country that gave you Prism, the country that gave you X-Keyscore, the country whose intelligence agencies were already surveilling Bitcoin users by 2013. That's not decentralization. That's a controlled distribution with extra steps. Watch the pattern. Now, let's go deeper. Not just the country, the actual building. In 2013, Amazon Web Services signed a $600 million contract with the CIA to build a private cloud infrastructure for the entire United States intelligence community. Not just the CIA, the NSA, the DIA, all 17 agencies operating under the intelligence community umbrella. One cloud, one contractor, Amazon. That same Amazon Web Services is the dominant cloud hosting provider for blockchain infrastructure worldwide. Ethereum, the second largest cryptocurrency network on the planet, has run a significant percentage of its nodes on AWS. Bitcoin infrastructure companies, exchanges, wallet providers, and node operators use AWS as their backbone every single day. So you have a network designed to operate outside of government control, running on servers that are physically managed by the CIA's cloud contractor. That is not a theory. That is a contract. It's public record. You can look it up. They told you it was decentralized. They just didn't tell you what it was decentralized onto. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Because the choke points in this system aren't hidden. They're just never discussed together in the same room. Starting with the mining pools. Validating Bitcoin transactions requires enormous computing power, so individual miners long ago gave way to large coordinated operations that pool their resources together. Right now, the top 4 or 5 mining pools consistently control more than 50% of Bitcoin's total computing power. More than half the network's validation authority sitting in a handful of hands. Some of those hands have direct ties to Chinese state-affiliated technology companies, which is its own episode. But the core point is this. Majority hash rate is majority control. You can call it decentralized all you want. The math doesn't care what you call it. Now, follow the data. Bitcoin nodes communicate over the internet. The internet runs through physical cables, routing infrastructure, and service providers that are regulated, monitored, and in many cases directly accessible to government agencies through legal process or through programs we already know exist. X keyscore doesn't need to crack Bitcoin's encryption if it can simply watch the pipes the data travels through. Why break the lock when you built the hallway? And then there's the exit. You can mine Bitcoin. You can hold Bitcoin. You can send Bitcoin peer-to-peer all day long. But the moment you want to convert it into dollars, into something you can pay rent with, buy groceries with, live your actual life with, you go through an exchange. And every exchange is a regulated financial institution. They require your identity. They file suspicious activity reports. They respond to subpoenas. They cooperate with government agencies. The off-ramp from this decentralized network runs directly through the most surveilled financial infrastructure in the world. They built the cage. They left the door open. And they waited for you to walk in on your own. Bitcoin was the proof of concept, the public beta, the controlled experiment that proved a population would voluntarily adopt a fully traceable digital currency if you told them it was rebellion. The application is the central bank digital currency. CBDCs are digital currencies issued and controlled directly by central banks. No mining, no pseudonymity, no pretense of decentralization. Programmable money, meaning the issuing authority can set the conditions on how it's spent, where it's spent, and whether it can be spent at all. Your money can have an expiration date. It can be restricted to approved vendors. It can be frozen with a single keystroke. No court order. No appeal. No recourse. China's digital yuan is already in circulation. The European Central Bank is in advanced development on the digital euro. The Federal Reserve has been studying a digital dollar for years. And here is the bridge that nobody wants to say out loud. Every person who adopted Bitcoin, who learned to use a digital wallet, who got comfortable with the concept of money that exists only on a ledger, who normalized the idea of a currency you can't hold in your hand, every one of them is a preconditioned user for the system that's actually coming. They ran the beta on you without telling you it was a test, and you evangelized it for them. Strip away the ideology, strip away the cypherpunk mythology, strip away the laser eyes and ETF approvals and the have fun staying poor culture and the Michael Saylor speeches. What is the blockchain? Structurally, functionally, at its core, it is a permanent, immutable, globally distributed record of every financial transaction ever made on the network. It cannot be edited. It cannot be deleted. It exists forever. In the entire history of human civilization, through every empire, every surveillance state, every authoritarian regime that ever tried to monitor its population, no government has ever had a tool like that. The IRS audits records going back 7 years. The blockchain goes back to January 3rd, 2009, and it goes forward forever. Every wallet, every transaction, every Satoshi that ever moved. And the analytics infrastructure built on top of it, chain analysis, elliptic, cipher trace, all of them with documented government contracts, exists for one purpose: to put names to wallets, to map financial networks, to build the most comprehensive picture of human financial behavior ever assembled. They gave you the belief of transparency. They kept the keys. And they got the public to fund it, build it, secure it, and defend it while calling it freedom. So here's where we are. Satoshi disappeared. The wallet never moved. The nodes cluster in American data centers. The cloud runs on CIA infrastructure. The choke points are real and owned. The off-ramps are regulated. The end game is programmable money with a government kill switch. And the documentary just spent 4 years investigating all of it and came back with 2 dead men and 0 government fingerprints. That's not a conclusion. That's a cover story. The black blockchain isn't a conspiracy theory. It's not a fringe idea. It's not something you dismiss with a punchline about government incompetence. It's the architecture. And now you've seen it. Watch the pattern. Follow the money. Connect the dots and ask better questions. This is Keith, and Keith Speaks.